Welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bringing you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. And we are a bunch of wild and crazy Browns fans. I am John. This is the Village Elliott, and we are the Fanatical Elfz Network. Welcome again. We're broadcasting live today. It is a Friday morning, mid-morning, getting ready for the very busy, we're in the midst of our busy holiday Thanksgiving weekend. We got the Browns playing the Denver Broncos coming up on Sunday. Prior to that, we actually here in Columbus have the biggest game of the century as the Ohio State Buckeyes travel to that state up north to battle the Michigan
What's the name?
Wolverines.
I forgot.
Yeah,
I don't even remember.
How you doing, Village Elliott? How are you?
Oh, I'm just absolutely thrilled to be here and so grateful for all the fan support that we've been getting. Thank you for allowing us into your homes or your automobile if you're listening on the way to work. It's really a privilege to be here and to talk about the subject that we love most, Cleveland Browns football, and also the subject we love second most, Ohio State football.
Yes.
I wish I could remember the name of the team that the Buckeyes are playing, but it just escapes me. It's in fact, I can't even remember the name of the state that's to the north of us. It's just
it's a dumpster fire. Yeah,
I just can't remember what it is. It's some starts with an M, I think, but it's so unimportant to me that I just can never remember.
I tell you, Elliot, my experience, and unfortunately, fortunately, I went through a college called Hope College up there in that state, and it was a great school. But I had one of my worst experiences ever as an educator. I'm a school counselor now, but one of my entry level experiences, I was doing my teaching practicum years ago, 30 plus years ago. And I had a teacher that I worked for, and I won't name his name. I'm sure he's not listening.
Probably is.
He was the meanest son of a gun. And he honestly, could not get over the fact that I went to this college up north, not that college, and I was from the Buckeye State, and he just could not get over it. And he treated me like crap for the 4 months that I was there. And I truly believe that was part of his evaluation. It was a shame, and I'll never forget it. It was really, because I've been in education for 3+ decades, and I love what I do, and I love working with people and students, and even back then I knew that I loved what I was doing, and he just created such a damn awful experience for me. It kind of haunted me, and it's because he's from that state up north, and there's just some people up.
Good.
Yeah,
we're just kidding about football, folks. I mean, look, if you're in the military, you've got to get along with people that are from football rivals and stuff like that. If you're Donovan Peoples-Jones, you better catch a football that's thrown by a Cleveland Browns quarterback.
Yes.
And that sort of thing. Tom Darden, for example, played.
Yes. Who was the safety the Browns had a few years back? Last name Peppers. Jamil Peppers. What was his first name? Last name was Peppers.
Yeah, no, he's playing with the Patriots now.
Okay.
And he's a. I mean, he's the wrong name now. I can't come up with it, but.
No, that's all right.
He's a tremendous player. And these kinds of things, it's not even football, but what if the guy is a brain surgeon and he came from the medical school there?
Yes.
What are you going to do? Say, I'm not going to have my brain operated on because you are from the wrong school. No, come on. This is life.
I did see a funny commercial the other day that they've repeated over and over again of where a guy and a gal are on a blind date for the first time, and she identifies herself as a Michigan fan, or and the guy's a Buckeye fan, and he jumps out of the car while they're traveling because he didn't want to continue the date. kind of a funny little
Okay.
sham on the whole.
Jabril Peppers.
Jabril Peppers, that's
Yeah.
right. So, this game, and actually Jabril Peppers at one point did play for the Denver Broncos. That I believe is who the Browns, how he ended up with the Broncos after playing with the Brownies several years ago. So the Browns have this big game coming up against the Broncos. They go out to Mile High, and the thing about it right now, that going into this game, a couple things that have caught my attention and probably Brown's attention is that they are an underdog. I think they were a 1 or 2 point underdog, and some people might be surprised at that. The Broncos have a 5-5
Yeah,
record.
no, Jabril Peppers was the New York Giants and then New England. I think you're thinking maybe of Julius Peppers.
Oh, Julius Peppers. So
Yeah.
how the Broncos got to this moment in time, they were actually 1-5 starting the season, and everybody in the world in the NFL thought that the Broncos were a fire sale, just ready to happen. And Russell Wilson was a mess, and Peyton was a mess, coach, and they'd just be doing something different next year. And now they've run off 4 straight wins, including wins against the Chiefs and the Bills. And most recently, last week they beat. Trying to think who they beat last week. Maybe you can fill in the blank there, but they've won 4 straight. And
yeah,
all signs are pointing to this game being, they are favored, and we're going out to Mile High, and it's a place that's hard for any team to win. How are you feeling about the Browns coming into this game?
Well, look, if you can beat the Chiefs and you can beat the Bills, then they can beat us. This is going to be a football game. I think, my analysis is very simple, that they are the least injured team in football, number one. Number two is that they've adjusted to a new coaching staff, and it takes time to do that. It's not fantasy football where you just plug in new football players and they play well immediately in a new scheme. Of course, fantasy football has no scheme, so that's easy. It takes time for real human beings to learn a new system, and they're learning it, and it's working for them. Sean Payton is a real coach. His system does work, and it's working for them. They really are getting better. It's for real. And then also, I believe that the Mile High advantage is real. If you've ever gone to 5,000 feet and just gone jogging right off of a plane, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The altitude difference is real. And I believe that the home field advantage in Denver is worth more than the traditional 3 points. Of course, the stat boys are saying that, the home field advantage isn't actually 3 points. It's not automatic. It's probably a little bit lower than that. But in Denver, I think it's every bit of 3 points, maybe 3.5 or 4. Okay. I'd like to see I tried to look up some stats on that. Nobody's come out and said what the actual Denver home field advantage really is, but I think it's probably about 4 points.
Okay.
Well, yes, I think it is a very serious thing. But on the other hand, despite the fact that the Browns are one of the most injured teams in the NFL, I think they match up very well against Denver, because Denver has one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, and the Cleveland Browns have one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL, despite the fact that they are lacking Nick Chubb, who is the best runner in the universe. Yeah. So I think that it could be something that favors the Browns. And the Browns do have a top defense, depending on what stats you want to cite. They could be considered to be the number 1 defense in the NFL. So
let's talk about the Browns offense. We'll come back to talk a little bit more about Denver's specifics here in a minute. The Browns started DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, last week, and he did pick up the win against the Steelers. Big moment for the young man and for this team. It wasn't pretty. What are your expectations going into this game? You already mentioned the run game. With that in mind, I imagine that Kevin Stefanski might not be, again, trying to open the field up completely for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He was very conservative last week. What do you expect to see in that part of the game tomorrow?
Well, I don't think that they should open it up for DTR unless they have to. If they find
Mm-hmm.
themselves behind by 14 points in the second half, then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think they will have to take some chances and throw
Were
the
you?
ball
Let
a
me
little
ask you
bit
this:
more.
were you surprised that he threw? They had Dorian Thompson-Robinson throwing the ball 42 times last week, even
Yeah, I
though
was
in a really
surprised
close
by
game.
that, but they were mostly conservative passes, and I think that if the defense completely sells out against the run and plays an 8-man front consistently, then yeah, you're going to have to throw the ball. So I think that the defense can dictate
Mm-hmm.
whether the Browns throw the ball or not, and Denver might well decide to do that. Say that, well, we're just not afraid of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. We're
Uh-huh.
going to go ahead and play man-to-man all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to stack the line with extra linebackers, and we're going to stop the run.
Do you see, let's say, veteran wide receiver Amari Cooper? He only had a few catches last week, though. You know, they were important catches. I think 4 passes for 40 some yards or something like that. A little bit down for what we expect, but that's, you know, we have a new quarterback. New chemistry needs to be built. On the other hand, David Njoku was targeted something like 14 or 15 times, caught 7 or 8 passes, dropped a handful of passes that everyone is talking about this week. Where
Oh
do you
my
see
gosh, he dropped passes that cut him. Just cut him. Just cut him. I'm sick
they
of him
they
dropping
were
passes.
but I tell you though, they were just, I mean, seeing it firsthand and being there, I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, David just was not focused on a few of those. You could see the ball coming in, and then he started looking one way. Anyway, would do you see Coop getting back more into the action? I'm wondering with the Mile High situation and maybe trying to open up maybe once, twice. Do you see Amari getting more involved in this one? And what do you about David Njoku? Are we going back to him?
Well, both of those guys have been unstoppable all
Yeah.
season long. It doesn't matter who has been guarding them. They've been just incredible, even against double coverage. I didn't think that it was possible for Cooper to succeed against the league's top shutdown corners, but no matter who they've thrown at him,
Yeah.
with the exception perhaps of the Pittsburgh game, who did have some success with
Mm-hmm.
Cooper, he's just been really fantastic. He's been really even better than the stats would show. You can point to guys, oh, this guy has better statistics than Cooper.
Yeah.
But who's been throwing to Cooper? A lot of the games, it's been number 3 quarterback. It's been PJ Walker throwing, and
Yes.
he really doesn't have the fastball that some of the other quarterbacks around the league have.
Yeah.
And so I think
seemed like the timing was just a little bit off with DTR. He had a couple throws in there,
yeah.
but just a little smidge off, and that kind of caused things to be where they were. I got to give the Browns
he's
credit
a
though.
below average quarterback, and
Yeah.
particularly in only his second game, you don't expect that much. But I think that it's possible that if the game calls for it, that he'll throw the ball more.
Yeah.
We don't really want to see that, but
Yeah.
if it happens, I think he'll probably be up to the task and probably be
Right.
okay. But he's not going to be a top 15 quarterback at this point in his career. He just isn't. What I'd like to see, though, is some additional help from other wide receivers. It's only been Cooper.
David Bell.
Yeah, David Bell. Where's David Bell?
Where
Is
did
he
David?
off managing the
calling
Cincinnati
Mr.
Reds?
Bell. Yeah.
Well, what's going on with David Bell?
And even
Elijah
Cedric
Moore has
Tillman
done pretty well.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman.
Yeah, Cedric Tillman. Where is Cedric Tillman? He has been playing more snaps with fewer targets than any other receiver in the league.
Have they still brought up Austin Watkins? Is he still on the active roster? Or did they knock him back down to the practice squad?
He's not been on the active roster. He has been temporarily elevated from the practice squad so that he's been eligible on game day to play.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that I think he's only had 1 game, if I'm not mistaken. So they can do that 2 more games without giving him a real roster spot. But whoever can get open and be targeted, that needs to happen. That's something that is a hallmark of the the classic, dare I say, game manager, is somebody that can target a lot of wide receivers. And we don't see that. we see only really Cooper, and we see Njoku, and then we see Elijah Moore get some targets, and that's about it.
Yeah. Let's Elliot, let's take a quick break here for a minute. We're going to talk about the Browns defense and also what to expect from Russell Wilson and the Broncos, and how you see this game playing out. And maybe look back a little bit at you and I are historically go back with many Browns fans, as we remember Denver very well for a lot of bad reasons. We'll be right back, folks. This is the Fanatical Elfz show, part of Fans First Sports Network. And we are back here on the Fanatical Elfz show. Thank you again for joining us. You can follow us on Apple, on Spotify, here on YouTube, here on the X, Twitter. Again, like Elliot said at the beginning of the show, we really appreciate and we are so thankful for what you guys have helped us with launching our platform since April. Every month, especially the last few months, we have been gaining viewership and gaining downloads. Right now, we're 40% where we were a month ago, and we continue to do that every month. And it's only because of your support. So thank you again for following along as we talk about the Brownies.
Well, wait a minute. You mean 130%, not 30%.
130%.
30% means that we would be going down. So that would mean it would be like the Steelers network.
That's right. Yeah, no. Well, I got to give kudos to the Steelers group there, the Steel Curtain Network. They're part of Fans First, and Jeff Hartman leads the charge there, and they've done a fabulous job of. And I heard recently that there are only 2 franchises in the NFL that they don't have coverage for right now, and I believe it's I want to say the Seattle Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills of all places.
That's crazy.
Right? Is that not nuts? So if you are listening and you're from Buffalo and you're a Buffalo Bills fan, my God, contact us, contact somebody, let us know, because we need you to help start an affiliate for the Buffalo area, because you guys have some diehard fans up there.
I could just about do that for Buffalo. I know those guys pretty well.
Well, maybe Mr. Village.
You know what I want to do? Just take. I want to trade the Baltimore Ravens for Buffalo. I want Buffalo to be in the AFC North. I think that would be a really nice division, really, because
I like that.
Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. Wouldn't that be a good division? And Baltimore, I looked at the map, and I'm absolutely sure that Baltimore is East Coast. It is not in the North United States. It is not Midwest. It is not Central. It is, in fact, on the East Coast, and they could compete with New England and Washington.
Well,
in fact, it's very close to Washington.
It is
on the map. I'm absolutely sure of my geography. That's where they belong. This would be a good trade for everybody. Hey. It would be a great rivalry. Hello, NFL. Listen to me. I'm right about this.
Well, we're going to continue talking about our game here coming up in a minute, but I do want to give a shout out to a lot of us are very thankful, and I'm thankful this week. My kids, both Mariah and her boyfriend Matt, have come in from Seattle. My son Alec came in from that state up north the other day, and we've been celebrating. And I wanted to give them props. They sent me this, or they bought this. It's actually Village Elliott. It's my birthday tomorrow, and so they got me this Pacific Northwest hat and my maroon. The maroon colors are representative of my high school where I work at. By the way, we did get off to a great start. Our Licking Heights girls basketball program got wins in both the varsity and JV games as we battled against Westland here in Columbus. And so congratulations to those kids. Job well done by our student athletes and our coaching staff. We're going to have a great season. Very excited for our Licking Heights Hornets. And it was fun getting a lot of great support from family and friends. And so thanks. By the way, I do want to also introduce, this is our Village Elliott and I talked off air about this is our off air, our little chicken. And I don't know, you were saying some story to me about how the Brownies used to have a chicken.
Yeah, not the Browns, but the city of Cleveland had
the
super
city of
chicken
Cleveland.
With WIXY 1260 had super chicken back in the day. And I'm not sure if that was actually responsible for the children's cartoon Super Chicken or not, but I believe, but I'm not sure, but the Wixie 1260 Super Chicken predated the cartoon version of that.
Oh,
but
well, Pat, my wonderful mom, Pat, this is her birthday gift as a funny little birthday gift. She gave me this wonderful little chicken. So I wanted to share that out. So thank you, Pat. And Pat loves watching your Oracle Speaks shows, Village Elliott. She watches those daily. And along with all the other shows that we have here on the Fanatical Elves Network, including Dog Pound South podcast with Steve Gill. We've got the What the Elf Was At with Joel Cade, the Browns Blitz with Rod Bloom, and many other shows, including mine, the Johnny Cleveland podcast, which will have another airing of that show coming up. Actually, I've actually been in contact with the Denver affiliate, and we will be doing a kind of a behind enemy lines show here before Sunday's game.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So back to this game here, the Browns defense. What are you excited about going into this game? What do you expect to see from Myles Garrett and that part of the team?
Strip sacks.
Yeah.
Scores. I think we'll kill them. I mean, come on. The Browns are the best in the NFL in terms of giving up yards. They're 243 yards per game. That's the best in the NFL. The Broncos, by the way, are last in the NFL, giving up 6.3 yards per play.
Ooh.
They give up 400 yards per game. That's also last in the NFL. The Broncos are last in the NFL in rush yards per game at 160 per game. The Browns are not that fantastic against the run. They are 11th in the NFL with 99.6 yards per game. So those stats come into play here. But the main thing that I take away is that you can do whatever you want against the Broncos. They can't defend the pass, and they are last in the NFL in rush yards per game. Wow. That's made to order for what the Browns want to do.
Right.
So let's see how the Broncos go up against the Browns, who want to run the ball with a rookie
how have they been able to run off these 4 straight wins then against teams like the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills?
Well, let's deconvolve what the Broncos stats really entail. Remember that they got clobbered by Miami early in the season, 70-20. So a lot of
70-20.
Yeah, a lot of those bad stats involve early season stats, and they've cleaned up their act a lot in the win streak. So it may not be as bad as the average would indicate, but nevertheless, I think that's where you attack them, is on the ground. The other thing I wanted to say, and I think we mentioned that earlier in the broadcast, is that the Broncos are the least injured team in the NFL. So it's not necessarily that they're brilliant at coaching, but they've stayed kind of the same while the rest of the NFL has gotten weaker and weaker due to injuries.
Yes.
So I think that they are a stronger team relative to the rest of the NFL. That's very, very real. And then also, man, I think that the elevation is real. So I think the Browns have an advantage that they typically do not have a lot of plays. They get in and out very quickly on defense, and that's what they really need to do.
Okay, so one of the things that I've been looking at and just think, Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Broncos, in watching the games that I have, or parts of the games that the Broncos have played, it seems to me like he has found a little bit more rhythm. He's a little bit more his old Russell Wilson self. Yes. And I think that might be driving part of what we're seeing. And that has me, as a Browns fan, a little nervous going into this game, despite of what you've mentioning about the Browns defense. I'm still a little nervous because I've watched Russell Wilson play live with various teams, including the Seattle Seahawks back in the day. And that could be an issue on Sunday.
Oh yeah, Russell Wilson's a good quarterback, and in Cleveland, one of our standard soapboxes about quarterbacks is, we can't win if we don't have a tall quarterback. He can't see downfield. He can't throw the ball over the tall defensive lineman. The short quarterback can't win. It's impossible. It just can't be done.
Yes.
Well, look, Russell Wilson can do it. So shut up.
Yeah.
Don't panic. He has, the short quarterbacks do have some drawbacks. Nobody's perfect, but there are ways that it can be done. Russell Wilson rolls out, does whatever he has to do, and he's an effective quarterback.
Well,
I don't
before
know that he's the
Deshaun,
best in the league. He's not,
before Deshaun
but
Watson came into the picture, there have been countless rumors, and it sounds like they were pretty legit, that Russell Wilson was very close to becoming a Cleveland Brown. Correct?
They tried to trade for everybody who could potentially be a viable quarterback. There's more than one guy that can play quarterback in the NFL. And yeah, they tried to trade for Russell.
I think Robert Griffith III still wants to come back and play quarterback for the Browns. Isn't that what he's been?
Yeah, I think he would like to play. I don't know that
Now,
it would be a bad decision.
What about Tom Brady?
No, Tom Brady does not want to play football again, and Tom Brady wouldn't do it because why? Tom Brady says that championships are won in the off season, and he did not spend the off season getting ready to play quarterback. He will not do it.
Good point. Good point.
He's retired and he's 46 years old, so forget all about that. That's not happening.
Speaking of old, Joe Flacco with the Brownies now, 39 years old, 38 or 39. Yeah. What are your like if all hell breaks loose and DTR falls apart and something happens to PJ Walker, are they bringing in Joe Flacco before PJ Walker now?
I doubt. Well, I think that's sort of hard to say whether he would be the second string or third string, but those who are planning the demise of DTR are just totally off base. He's not being brought in to be the first string quarterback. He really doesn't fit the current offensive scheme all that well because Deshaun Watson's a running quarterback.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco is not. He's not very mobile. He's had health issues. And, he's probably pretty good for a couple of games, but he is probably going to be injury prone. He's had a lot of problems in the past. You don't really want him to play a full season, but for a game or two, he's probably pretty okay. So I think you probably have to think about how many games are left in the schedule. If it's early, probably not. If it's late, you might very well think about Flacco if you needed him.
Well, he still has it. They won that game last year with him driving them down the field.
Yeah, he played very well. But at that time they still had an offensive line that was viable. If he has to do a lot of running and stuff like that, that would kind of militate against him being the guy that they want.
Correct.
So, he's a pocket passer, and the Browns are not a pocket passing team. It's not a good match, but it could be made to work. It's not an optimum situation, but, the Browns are not choosers in this market. They were beggars because they did not prepare for the possibility that Deshaun Watson would. Who would have thought that Deshaun Watson would have an injury issue? That just couldn't. That was just a total shock to us. My gosh. Well, I mean, they should have been preparing for this since game 2. They should have realized that, we hope that his shoulder is totally okay, but just in case, we should be preparing somebody on the practice squad.
Yeah.
We've been saying that on this network since game 2, that there needed to be somebody on the practice squad just in case.
Yep.
They listened to us. No. And so now they're trying to do something in game 11 to prepare. And it's kind of late in the day. You're expecting somebody to pick up the Browns offense in 1 week, like in fantasy football.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do that, and especially for a 38-year-old that hasn't played in a year and a half. It's not an optimum situation. Don't expect miracles. This guy is not Aaron Rodgers light with all the taste and half the calories. It doesn't work that way.
All right, Village, tell me how you see this game playing out. What are the keys to the Browns pulling this win off at the Mile High, up there 5,000 feet?
Well, I see this as a little bit more of an offensive game than we saw last week. And again, I point out that the Broncos are a team that struggles on defense. They have not been able to stop the run. So I think the Browns are going to try to run. I think we will see by the way, I brought some PowerPoints with me. We can look at those if you want.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
Sure.
Do we have time for that?
Yeah, we got a few minutes. Yep.
Okay. Well, the Broncos do not have a great deal.
I'm going to go off. I'm gonna go off camera here just for a minute, but Elliot, I want you to keep talking. I'm gonna
All
pull your
right, I'll
screen up
keep
once
on
you get,
talking.
and I will be right back.
All right. The Broncos do not have
You got
super
it? Okay.
fantastic
Keep
uh,
talking.
strength on defense in general, and particularly up the middle. Looks like they're a little bit weak. And let me just talk about that. Let's see. This is the Broncos offense. But let me talk about their defense. Okay. And again, for those who are seeing this on video, the red boxes mean that there's a problem. Orange means that they're below average. Yellow is average. Green is above average. And blue means that they're above average or nearing the Pro Bowl kind of class. I don't have anybody that's marked blue on either side, really. Probably I should have put Amari Cooper as blue, although I think that his stats are held down by the fact that we don't have anybody that gets in the ball, and then also the defense is able to commit resources to kind of hold him back a little bit. But anyway, if you just look at the middle of the line, we've got some powerful guys at the middle of the line: Joel Bitonio, Ethan Posick, and Wyatt Teller. And they've got some red boxes up the middle at nose tackle and then at the linebacker. So it looks kind of like you can push up the middle, turn right a little bit, and it looks like that they might be vulnerable up the middle. They're probably better if you try to run right, and that might be more difficult to do with this team. And so I think that they're probably going to use the fullback position for a lot of plays, and I think they're probably going to do some damage.
That would be nice, right? That would be very nice. What do you like? You're thinking. You said more of a high power, more points. Last week the Browns pulled it out 13-10. Are you thinking like score is going to be up in the 20s in this game, 20s or 30s? You think we're going to go for 40 or 50 points between these two
No, we're not
teams?
going to score tons of points, but I think this game is going to be more than 13-10. But yeah, something in the teens or 20s, something like that. We don't really expect there to be a lot of points, or if there are points, it'll probably be scored on defense. I think that the Browns do have the defense that they could. It would just take a couple of strip sacks and scores on defense to take the score that way.
Do you have? I'm sorry, I missed the other graphic. Did you put up the Browns defensive?
Well, there we go,
or the offense, or actually the offensive set. Do you have DeJuan Jones in there, right on the right side or the left?
I probably that was kind of in doubt when I drew up this.
Sure.
This chart.
I mean, of all the players, I tell you, I've got to, when you think about DeJuan Jones and what he's done this season overall for the Brownies, I just been very impressed. I think that he's done so much good for the help.
Yeah. Are they saying that he's going to play?
I think so. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
and he played decently against TJ Watt last week. So that's where I just think that he's one of those players that for the Browns offense that have just really just steadied this team and made them better than I think. I don't think a lot I don't think there were a lot of extremely high expectations going into the season when he was drafted. He was kind of a higher draft pick, and I just think he's doing great.
And I think that he's been very helpful to the Browns offense. He's also one of those guys that I rely a lot on Pro Football Focus in preparing these charts. He's one of those guys that Football Focus seems to hate, and they never give him a good score.
Yeah, Denzel Ward on the defensive side of the ball. No, I'm hearing that he might be doubtful. Is that what you're hearing? Or injury to his shoulder? This week, Mary Kay Cabot has been reporting that about Denzel's shoulder.
Okay.
Anthony Walker tweaked his hammy or his
he's been questionable, and
Ronnie Hickman got in a little bit last week, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, they had him as a starter, but also we might have yeah, we're not really sure who's going to start in that place. I put Ronnie Hickman as the most likely candidate, but
Yeah.
we might be getting. Man, I'm forgetting the name of the guy who um, started the season at that position. He's been out all this time, and he might be coming back.
And how good is they had a video the Browns released earlier in the week on Martin Emerson where they fouled him with his audio, and I just thought everybody is falling in love with Martin Emerson. I've loved Martin Emerson since last year.
Yeah,
in the
no, I think Martin
preseason.
Emerson is very, very good, and again, Pro Football Focus makes the Browns defense look very ordinary, and I've sort of pushed them up because I don't know how you can be the number one team in the NFL.
Yeah.
With defense and have ordinary players all the way across the board.
Now you have Greg Newsome as red. Is that because he's been?
Yeah, that's supposed to be kind of a bright orange, but
okay.
Yeah, he's ranked as a little bit below average.
Okay.
But
okay. Well,
yeah, I think we could have a debate about whether that's fair or not.
Jerry Jeudy for the Broncos there, showing your graphics. If you're listening to us, Elliot again has his graphics of both teams up, and Jerry Jeudy again, another player who has been rumored to come to Cleveland multiple times over the last 2 seasons. He's still with Denver.
No. That's Cleveland Browns fans wishing that he was going to be traded to Cleveland. I mean, come on. Why would Denver want to? Oh, let's give Cleveland Jerry Jeudy. I think that would be a nice thing for us to do. Sure. Cleveland's got lots of draft picks they could give us for Jerry Jeudy. Just shut up. Come on, fans. That's not
all right. So let's final takes here, Elliot, before we let you go. And following us here on the Fanatical Elfz Network. Again, it's a Friday afternoon. We're glad you showed up.
This cute stuff here. I think we've talked about all of this. But yeah, the Broncos are getting better. They're the least injured team in the NFL. I think that the 5,000-foot elevation thing, you're sick of hearing about that because we talk about that every time we play them. And it's been something that we've said since they came into the league in 1965 or something. But I think it's probably a real thing and that they deserve more than the normal home field advantage. 4 points might not be crazy.
Yeah.
The Broncos are giving up a lot of yards per play. They're giving up a lot of yards per game. Not all of that is because of Miami. Some of it is, but not all of it.
And the 160 yards rushing is amazingly bad.
It's
not amazingly bad, but it's but the Browns are 11th there, 99 yards given up, but the Broncos 160 yards, which
60 yards is worth something on the way to a touchdown, an extra touchdown.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's pretty significant, and the Browns like to run the ball.
They struggled a little bit last week against the Steelers. I don't think they even got over the century mark in rushing yards.
They did, but the Steelers are the Steelers, and the Broncos are the Broncos. How about that for a brilliant observation?
I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm going to go with the Brownies going to win this game. I'm going to go 31 Browns, 25 Broncos, 31-25. I think there will be some more scoring going on, and I think the Browns pull it off. They get some nice drives in the second half. They wear down the Broncos, who are on this 4-game winning streak, and I think maybe the Browns can come in there with their stellar defense and put clamps down on them and pull out the win. I see the Browns, getting another win. This would be the win number 4 for the Browns. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when the Browns and Stefanski went to the playoffs in 2020, they won. Ended up winning 4 games in a row, going from 5-3 to 9-3. Before losing to the Baltimore Ravens late in that year. So I see the Browns again. They're in momentum swing, and I think they've got a lot of positives. Broncos do too. So I think it's gonna be a really fun game to watch. Maybe some back and forth. Browns fans will be nervous, like we always are. And but I think the Browns will pull it off. Maybe again we see some things like you said, Elliot, some strip sacks from Myles Garrett or Shelby Harris or Delvin Tomlinson or Jordan Elliott, who knows? One of those guys will come up big. And I I think that's something that we can kind of see happening now. I think that's really where the Browns defense is at. And I think that's all pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. One other thing I wanted to mention is that the point spread, I believe, at the beginning of the week was 1, and then it was 1.5. And now I think it's, let me just check.
Okay.
Let me just check. I think it's like 2.5 now.
Oh yeah, it's gone up. Yeah, a little bit.
Let's just see what it is right now. Oh well, no, it's holding steady at 1.5, but I think it was up around 2 for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, Vegas Insider had it at -2. So there's a lot of sentiment favoring the Broncos. Of course, Bronco fans are as crazy as Browns fans.
Yes.
And there's all this stuff about, oh my gosh, the Broncos are on their way. They've won 4 straight. And so there's Bronco mania, just like there's Browns mania. So there's teams that all of a sudden have playoff expectations after they spent the first half of the season wanting to fire their coach and get a new quarterback, which neither team can do because they spent so much money, guaranteed money on the quarterback, that it is not going to happen for Denver. It is not going to happen for Cleveland. And in fact, I invite everybody to watch
you've got some more shows
The
coming
Oracle
up, too.
Speaks. Explain why the Browns are probably going to extend Deshaun Watson, because otherwise there's no way that they can clear cap room for next year and afford.
I think I've got that show coming out. I think tomorrow for you. You've got a couple other Oracle Speaks shows currently right now and coming out later on this afternoon. So he's bringing it every day. That's the Village Elliott, and thank you so much for joining us here again on the Fanatical Elfz show. Download us, follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Again, we just so much appreciate you. We're so thankful for all of you Browns fans. Share the love, spread the word to your family, friends, as we gain momentum like the Cleveland Browns are doing this season as well. We'll be there to bring you the very latest. We'll have some pregame and postgame shows come Sunday. We've also got a behind the scenes, behind the enemy lines show coming up, along with my Johnny Cleveland show. And Elliott, Village Elliott's got a couple more Oracle Speaks shows, so tune into his programming as well. Again, thanks everybody for following us, and go Brownies. Take care, Elliott. Yep. See y'all later.
It's going to be real on Sunday, man. Don't miss it.
Toodaloo.